Good morning, South Rock. Welcome to the weekly devotion for the story. This is week 10. Again, I've said this, I think, 2 weeks in a row, but we're just flying through. As we come into 1 Samuel, which is a special place in my heart because I'm Samuel. My name is Samuel. And so I've always known this story and paid attention to this story. But today I'm going to talk to you about something a little different. I want to talk to you about nominative determinism. A little intense, but nominative determinism is basically the idea that people will gravitate towards things or professions that remind them of themselves or even their names. So, for instance, there was a book about polar exploration written by a guy named Daniel Snowman, which is kind of funny. And people think that your name might drive you to do certain things or choose certain places to go. So my name is Samuel, which means asked of God, and so maybe that drove me to be a preacher. I don't know. I think there is power in a name, though. I think we see this a lot in the Old Testament. When babies were given names, their names had meaning. Their names had power. So Samuel was named Samuel because Hannah had asked God for this baby boy. Hannah's name actually means grace or favor, and a lot of the Hebrew kind of connotations of that is God has graced me with a son, or God has found favor with me as he's given me a son, and that sort of thing. And so all of names can have this, I think, potential, this power behind them of what they mean and how your life kind of is guided through that because of just the way God works and the way personality and society works. There's all sorts of things. And so I kind of subscribe to this philosophy of nominative determinism, that a name can have power and meaning in your life. I mean, take for instance, again, the burning bush. When God finally reveals his name, how powerful it is that he says to Moses, I am who I am. And the power of that for the rest of history of the words, I am, being the God that we serve. So the question for the week, based on 1 Samuel and based on this idea of nominative determinism, how can you use your name this week? It might sound silly, but here's what I want you to do. It's really easy to find. If you don't know what your name means, you can Google it, and it will come right up, and you can almost always kind of rely on that result. So if I'm trying to think of a good name. Sarah means princess. I have a lot of S's rolling all around the top of my head. Susan means lily or flower. How can you use your name this week to benefit the kingdom of God? Now, that might be a stretch for some. Like I said, Susan means flower, so maybe you're like, how am I going to use the word flower to benefit the kingdom? Well, maybe you buy flowers for somebody this week. I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but maybe that works. My name's asked of God. How could I possibly use that? Well, maybe I flip that around and go, God, what do you ask of me in return? If I am asked of God, well then, what does God ask of me to do? So find out what your name means and kind of play into that. Start looking about how can I benefit the kingdom, nominative determinism. How can I take my name and use it for good in the kingdom of God, the kingdom of the God that we serve, named I am who I am. So that's what I have this week. I hope you have a good rest of your week.